Hello and welcome back to our U.S. History series here on Cerebri Learning. This week we'll be covering Reconstruction and its aftermath. It's the year 1865 and the North has just won the Civil War. With slavery now outlawed nationwide, the South had to be rebuilt, and former Confederates reintegrated into society. Unfortunately, with the assassination of President Lincoln, Reconstruction couldn't be as effective as it could have. Vice President Andrew Johnson took over, and was mostly responsible for the first part of it, and it was largely seen as a failure. Today we'll explain why. Johnson was a Southerner, and his first step was to offer pardons to other Southern whites, with the exception of plantation owners and Confederate leaders. He planned to make new state governments as well, and sent the military to help the process. However, these new governments didn't have to do much. Only abolish slavery and officially denounce the Confederacy to get in, and so often former Confederates or sympathizers enacted laws known as Black Codes. These Black Codes sought to limit the economic and voting freedoms especially of the newly freed black population. These were the laws that were mostly forced to be repealed after the war, but they barred African Americans to serve on juries or in state militias, vote, or start a job without the approval of the previous employer. Laws known as Pig Laws, however, are often grouped with the Black Codes, but these were the ones that ended up lasting longer. These later became the Jim Crow laws, along with others, and enforced the segregation and oppression of African Americans, especially in the South. In Congress, a group of liberals known as Radical Republicans were in power, and they wanted equal rights for all races in voting. They also proposed taking away plantations from Confederates and giving them to African Americans. They proposed many laws like this, but they were vetoed by Johnson repeatedly. This led to him being the first president ever to be impeached. One law known as the Civil Rights Act became the first veto to be overruled by Congress, and it was enacted. This period also saw many African Americans get elected into public office. Even one man, named P.B.S. Pinchback, became the governor of Louisiana. This was the first time in America that African Americans had some sort of equality in between the Black Codes and the Jim Crow laws. However, the status quo would soon return, mostly because of Andrew Johnson and Reconstruction's failure to protect the rights of African Americans and to relapse into the old system. However, instead of slavery, poor African Americans were often forced into sharecropping for their former plantation owners, continuing the economic cycle of oppression. Andrew Johnson wasn't re-elected in the following election, and former General Ulysses S. Grant took charge. During these periods, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, which solidified the rights of African Americans. During the 70s, many Republicans abandoned the racial parts of Reconstruction and began to pull away as Republicans in the North became more conservative. Reconstruction is usually said to have ended in 1877. So what were the long-term effects of Reconstruction? Well, it brought back the old racist status quo later on, which wouldn't be repealed until the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s. It also made America more free than it ever had been for a brief moment. Finally, it showed the changing ideologies of the political parties. We here at Cerebri Learning would like to thank you for watching this video. And if you like this, please check out some of our other content, like our physics series. Next video will be about the Industrial Revolution and the Gilded Age. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and also be on the lookout for future series. Our full bibliography will be in the description down below, and we've also included some useful resources for those of you who would like to learn more.